And on today's Unbiased Hard Take, NBA draft is over. The dark times are here. It is very, very sad the dark times are here. NBA, NFL, college basketball, college football, all of it is in the off season. So I ain't got nothing for you. Just joking. Today we're going to talk about the NBA draft and Miami Heat off-season outlook, talk about their draft and where they need to move on from there. Sad times, everybody. I'm going to skip all the formalities because it is the dark times, everybody. It seems like it goes faster it gets there faster every single year. And there's nothing to watch on TV now, no basketball, nothing. Even the UFL's over. No NBA, nothing. This is time for the baseball fans, but that's not me, never has been, never will be. But we still have a good episode for you guys today because I'm going to talk about the NBA draft and some sort of headlines there. I'm going to start with, obviously, Cooper Flagg. We don't need to talk anymore about the lottery. I mean, the draft's here and come. So, I mean, the Mavericks did take Cooper Flagg with the #1 overall pick, and it was absolutely, obviously, the no-brainer #1 overall pick. So, A+ for that altering player, truly, for this Dallas Mavericks team. And people, I think, are kind of overhyping Dallas right now. #1, I guess technically nothing is guaranteed with Cooper Flagg. I do believe he will be an outstanding player. He's from Maine, and one of the only players, I think less than 10 players from Maine overall have been drafted in the NBA. But let's not act like that Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis are young and have good health history. And Klay Thompson's also old and not what he used to be as well. So this Mavericks team very much so still depends on what AD and Kyrie, their availability is on the court. Cooper Flagg is going to be an outstanding player, #1 favorite to be Rookie of the Year, a life-altering player. And they needed something like that after the Luka trading him for a bag of chips to the Lakers. So obviously, I mean, that was pretty, standard. And, the Spurs pick as well was, pretty standard. So really the NBA draft did not start until really the 3rd pick. And speaking of early lottery picks, I'm going to talk about Ace Bailey for a minute here because he did not look like he was interested in playing or for the Jazz at all. And actually, rumor is that he did not even show up to Utah for a press conference after that, and Walter Clayton, who's his teammate, did. So that's a very unusual for him not to fly out. Didn't do any workouts or any interviews with teams. Just seemed kind of arrogant on draft night the other night, and just did not seem to appreciate getting drafted at all. Most of these guys did, like Harper. I just talked about him. Really, like I said, consensus #2 pick. Now you have Harper, Fox, and Wemby. But I think really the Jazz here had the most interesting draft in the NBA because Walter Clayton Jr., who had that amazing tournament run, NCAA champion, he won that natty, and his draft stock moved up. He's now a first-round pick, so congratulations to him, obviously. And Utah very well could have won this draft so long as Ace Bailey actually wants to be there and does not cause issues. Because truly, the biggest issue in the NBA, a lot of times, is personality. You can develop good talent, you can scout them all you want, but when players aren't wanting to work out for you, not interviewing for certain teams, sort of entitled, didn't show up after the draft, didn't seem to really enjoy being drafted at all. So there's definitely some red flags. Actually, reports from his camp came out that he did not even want a certain team in the lottery to draft him at all, and that team has not been revealed. And at this point, we have to wonder if it was Utah. I'm gonna this could be an A- draft for them, or it could be an F. Because Ace Bailey sort of reminds me of like a Jaylen Brown type of player, and that backcourt in Utah is sort of loaded up with Jordan Clarkson and Colin Sexton. But Utah is definitely in no-win mode right now. Ace Bailey was the best player on the board there, truly, in my opinion. He's the second best player in the draft, I think. I actually think that you could argue that he's better than Harper from San Antonio, like we just talked about. But I mean, I understand the off-the-court issues. I don't necessarily think Harper's ready to play right now. I don't think his defense is quite where it needs to be. But Ace Bailey, I think his attitude will cause some issues. I don't think he wanted to go to this small market of Utah. Sort of entitlement, in my opinion. And I really like their second pick of the day at 18 with Walter Clayton more than I like the Ace Bailey pick, because Walter Clayton's going to want to be there. He has a good outside shooting, and I think that Danny Ainge really picked the best two players on the board. And if you want to go just simply on the board, this is an A+, A+, A+ draft, even better than what Dallas did, because to be able to get Ace Bailey and Walter Clayton Jr., the question that's just outstanding work by Danny Ainge and that Utah Jazz front office. The question is, like I said, does Ace Bailey want to be there? Is he going to cause problems? Because if he did, all this is for nothing. And that's just the reality. And speaking of teams that have been doing many things, if you have not checked out the Sports Fact of the Day on our Facebook page, again, a link to that will be in the description down below. The Brooklyn Nets were a very busy team the other night. They set a record, Sports Fact of the Day also, for 5 first-round picks. Not total picks, 5 first-round picks, most in NBA history. And they got Demon, Nolan Trodor, Drake Powell, Ben Schlarf, and Danny Wolf. And that's a lot of picks. I mean, I was actually surprised to see them use all of those picks. And I think really they need everything. I mean, they don't have really anything on their roster at all right now to build off of, coming off of a 26-56 season. I mean, they very well could keep all 5 of these guys and play them, but do you have the roster spots? I mean, there's only 15 roster spots, and that includes some of your two-way contracts. So, I mean, is the roster spots for these guys? I mean, but there also is the philosophy that they could just play all 5 of these guys and go for a good lottery pick, because these guys are young kids. A lot of these guys are under the age of 21, can't even buy a beer. So they own their 2026 pick, so they could be going for a good lottery selection. Now, we've seen how that worked out for teams banking on that lottery, like the Wizards and the Hornets this past year with Cooper Flagg. But so the lottery doesn't guarantee anything. But the Rockets get the Nets' first-round pick in 2027. So I think the Nets could very well play all 5 of these guys, try to see what they have in these guys, develop them. Now, the question also on that is you're taking away from each of their playing time and development. There's only one basketball and a certain amount of minutes to go around. So I do think while that could be a little concerning for the Nets here, that they're just in full rebuilding mode, and they did an outstanding job accumulating that amount of draft stock. And really, if one of these guys turns out to be a top 10 player in the NBA, then they won this draft. So I really like, and it's the draft and develop league still. It really is. Look at the Pacers, look at the Thunder, what they did. These teams like the Suns that try to go out there and buy headlines, Suns missed the playoffs. Pacers made the finals. Draft and develop works in the NBA. And it can work for the Nets. All they have to do is hit on one of these guys. So good draft, a lot of good assets, a great job accumulating all those assets from the Nets organization. And the Hornets really get an F from me. Con Knuppel from Duke. I mean, the Hornets tanked, so did the Wizards last year, and hoping to get a top draft pick and win the Cooper Flagg sweepstakes, and they did the exact opposite. I mean, they got Liam McNeely, but a far cry from what Cooper Flagg could have been. And I mean, Knuppel is an efficient scorer, but I mean, it looks like that they went just all analytics here, as the Hornets typically do. I mean, the Hornets are always going to be the Hornets. And they traded starting center Mark Williams, and then they just go with 2 white kids in the early rounds after they were hopeful to get Cooper Flagg. A disappointing day for the Hornets. I mean, LaMelo Ball is still always injured, and I mean, they're just a mess. It's a shack type of organization. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. They've changed ownership, coaches too much. I just don't see it. And there were some teams that actually did not have draft picks, and actually were the Nuggets were one of them, and the Rockets as well, because of that Kevin Durant trade. And of course, getting Kevin Durant, you're going to trade any draft pick you possibly can to get him, and things of that nature. And of course, the Miami Heat, we're going to kind of get into that and kind of transition into that topic a little bit here, because Kasparas Giannakis. I hope I said that last name right. I mean, I've been watching a lot of film on him since he's been drafted by the Miami Heat. And from what I've seen, I watched about, I'd say, a little over an hour of total film on him from his Lithuania days and playing at Illinois. And in the Big Ten, I was very familiar with what he was doing, of course, as a Purdue supporter watching Big Ten basketball. And 15 points per game, 5.7 rebounds per game, 4.7 assists per game. But, I mean, so people are going to say, okay, well, he's one of the best players in the draft. I had seen a lot of people had him in his top 10. And I had him at about 9 on my board. But the issue where he slid so far is because 3.7 turnovers per game, and he averaged under 1 steal and 1 block per game. And that's unusual from a guard. Now, he has a very good court vision. He's sort of your traditional point guard. He can kind of facilitate the offense, bring the ball up the court. He's not more of the Steph Curry type of point guard where it's more shooting, efficiency, scoring, that type of thing. It's not like that. He's more of he'll get more assists early on, especially in his career, moving the ball, I think, coming off the bench. So this is a good draft to develop, and the Miami Heat are one of the best draft and developing organizations in the basketball. Jamie Jaquez Jr. I mean, you can go down the line. They find gems all over the place. I know they didn't draft Duncan Robinson, but there's another one. I mean, Tyler Hero from the first-round draft pick from Kentucky. So it ended up being an all-star, best player currently, arguably, with Bam. Bam's another one. We draft all of our players typically in Miami, and they missed out on the Kevin Durant sweepstakes with Houston getting him. So he actually did stay out of the Eastern Conference, and that's sort of a good thing right now. Because the Miami Heat, since we're talking about them now, we're transitioning into their off-season currently, so they did need a floor general. They have been lacking point guard. They addressed it in the draft. Didn't have a second-round draft pick. So where do they go from here? The East is more wide open than it's ever been, and not for good reason. I mean, a lot of it's been stuff like, I mean, you got to look and say, okay, so injuries for Halliburton, injuries from Jason Tatum, injuries across all of the Eastern Conference, Damian Lillard, all of these type of players, all-star players that are hurt right now. And the East has been the weaker conference anyway. So to be able to come in, and Bam and Tyler Hero have been to the finals 2 times since 2020, and no one's talking about the Miami Heat still made the playoffs last year with all this Jimmy Butler drama. I mean, no other team would have been able to do that, and people just keep hating on them, forgetting about them. I mean, they were the first 9-10 seed to make the playoffs from the play-in. So the Miami Heat keep just proving people wrong, and don't sleep on the Miami Heat, because really the only person they need 100% to get back is Davion Mitchell, and he's a restricted free agent. Beyond that, they have to do something. I mean, they have to obviously change it up. What we have right now is not going to be good enough to compete for a championship, but they did address what they needed to in the draft with getting a decent point guard, a floor general. That was something they've been lacking, and right now they just need to go out there and just get them some more offensive firepower. They scare no one in the NBA offensively, and that's just the reality of the situation. Miami needs to, I don't know where they go, maybe a trade for Giannis. That's kind of a weak free agent class. DeMar DeRozan, kind of an older player. I don't foresee that being a great option. DeMar DeRozan in his late 30s, but we'll see what they end up doing. Kuminga sort of brought the trade rumors. I like that way better than I would like an old DeMar DeRozan. But I do think Miami could be a very dark horse in the Eastern Conference. The Eastern Conference, like I said, is riddled with injuries, and the Miami Heat made it this year without those injuries and entered the playoffs. Tyler Hero's been to the finals before 2 times, as has Bam Adebayo. So do not sleep on the Miami Heat. Davion Mitchell is the only free agent they have to sign back. He's just a dog, and really brought a good energy that kind of helped that playoff push and into playing as well. So that's all I got. What do you think of the NBA draft? Let me know down below. How did your team do? Again, that's all I got. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. We appreciate all the support from you guys. Again, that's all I got. Until next time, go Pat, go. Let's go Heat, and Bowler up, baby. See y'all next time.